Welcome back guys to episode 2. I'm going to be unboxing some Reynolds tubing. Let's get into it. Ignore the fact that I may have repackaged this, so I definitely didn't. Fresh. Lovely tubes. Let's not forget this one here. Definitely not repackaged. Ooh, tasty bare frame supplies. A couple of disc brake mounts. Some tasty dropouts. Nice. So we've got here is pretty much most of the frame tubing. We've got head tube, bottom bracket, pre-threaded, just have to be faced off once it's welded into the frame. And then big to small, got the down tube and the top tube, seat tube, both chain stays and both seat stays. Now both the chain stays and the seat stays are going to have a element of forming and bending in the frame build. Not entirely sure how that's going to go yet. Also got the famous Reynolds 853 sticker that will go on after it's all complete, and then some little threaded frame inserts that will get welded in. So all of these tubes are, I believe they are double butted. I'll have to check, read up on that, but they're all double butted, so they're thicker at the ends. Both ends they've got a thicker wall section, and they go much thinner in the middle just to keep it lightweight but still strong. All of the tubes at some point, once I have my welding jigs in place, we're going to have to cut them down, miter the joints into every single tube, and basically dry fit the whole frame in the jig. Well, I thought that was a pretty good unboxing. Push that aside because next we're going to show you a bit of the CAD design of the frame and all the jigs and where I've got to basically. Interrupting the video for a grasshopper, Colin. There he is. He's going to go outside. Anyway, back to it. Alright, let's open the old Fusion 360. Opening systems. Loading. Boom. There it is. I'll just transfer over to a screen share and you should be able to see it a bit better. We're inside the computer. This is the main design of the frame, seat stay, chain stay, and the rockers. So this, I guess, is where everything started, following on from all the linkage geometry stuff I put in, transferred it straight to CAD, and basically modelled up all these tubes, joined it all together, giving me the main design as you see it now. So front triangle, everything's quite long and low, fairly slack. As I touched on in the first video, these pivots, I've tried to spread them out to spread the load, keep it nice and stiff. Rear triangle, rear seat stay, rear chain stay, again, trying to keep them nice and stiff, nice and spread out. So as it stands, all the tubing you saw, just to try and put it into perspective, so I showed you the head tube, and the top tube, down tube, seat tube here, and I also showed you both of the straight unbent seat stay tubes and chainstay tubes. That covers the majority of the frame build, but what I'm planning to do, this little stiffener here, that's going to be probably offcut off the seat stay, and that'll just be manually fitted and welded. And then these braces here where the lower shock mount is, and then you've got the main pivot mount here. I'm planning to get these extracted from the CAD and then get them laser cut somewhere, or laser cut or machined, so that they're nice and accurate. The rockers here, then you've got the top mount of the shock up here, and then you've got the seat stay pivot up here. These rockers at the moment, they're kind of designed as like machined left and right, and then like a machined middle piece or laser cut middle piece, and then welded up. I'm probably going to change this design slightly though. It'd be quite nice to get something a bit more sort of free-formed around this, and I'm also thinking about whether I can make some composite rockers instead. Haven't decided yet whether it's going to be composite or steel or alley. It would be cool to do a composite like a forged carbon using like a 3D printed compression mold. I think that'd be really cool to try out. So hopefully that will go to plan. This is the high pivot, main pivot here. That's where my idler pulley is going to sit. That's going to come round down onto the chain ring there. The rear end, we've touched on the seat stay and chain stays. There's a fair bit more that I'll have to get made, probably outsource it. Some of the simple parts I might try and do on the lathe myself. We've got these two bits here, these are going to have to be turned up. And then the ends of the seat stays, these probably have to be turned up, and then that's going to just look different because it'll just be welded and moved to the back. So yeah, this section here, so this piece in the middle of the chain stay, might be best to machine that with this little flange section here, because that keeps it all accurate and in one piece. This whole rear section here, obviously these dropouts, they're the ones I showed you earlier, they're brought in. So this section here, that'll have to be exported out of this CAD and machined, and then the weld, it'll weld all the way up and around here. You might have noticed I've got these weird sections that sort of cut out of the chain stays. In real life it's probably not going to look like this. These cutouts are basically for clearance. Inside ones are for tyre clearance, and the outside ones will be for the crank clearance as you're pedaling. So these bent and formed with the vice or hammering, forming, that sort of stuff is going to be pretty crude. The form in the seat stays and chain stays, I have to probably come up with some kind of mandrel jig or something that I can roll this form around and bend it into place. Not 100% sure how that's going to happen yet. Bosh. This is the front triangle welding jig. I haven't yet been able to get this base plate made, unlike the others, which I'll show you in a bit. I'm basically going to try and print all of these tube clamps, location areas. They're going to mount straight into the welding jig here, and then I've got a number of turned up steel or alley location dowels and pins that are going to come off of these mounts, come off of the plate here, like here and here, with spacers. This will come up, bottom bracket will sit in, and that will control all of the locations, hopefully all of the height, exactly to where I need it to be, in order to get the tacks done, much of the welding as I can in the jig, because it will hold it in shape. Hence also why I've got these cutouts in the bottom. When I eventually take it out of the jig, it'll just be free welding on a bench. Straight into the next. This is the seat stay welding jig. Base plate. Managed to get this made through a good friend. These clamps here, and these two little ones on the sides. We've got those made up, outsourced MJF printing. I've still got to get these supports made up because they were kind of an afterthought. I thought, crap, I'm gonna have to support these tubes somehow whilst they're sat there, otherwise it's going to be all over the shop. Once that's made, I can put all of the threaded inserts into these, get it bolted up, and I'll be ready to go. Smashing it out. Here's the final welding jig. This is the chainstay welding jig. Obviously it looks a bit odd because chainstay is actually set like that, but it made more sense to mount it this way. Similar design, got some supports. All going to be 3D printed just to support these tubes while they're sat here. Could be quite difficult getting this to work. Bend here. I don't know how accurate I'm going to get a bend. It might have to be a bit of trial and error really. Got some simple clamps that hold these pins and dowels that go through. These will all be printed as well, and then all these will be sort of turned up steel or alley, whichever's easiest to get hold of. And now we have the start of the welding jigs. So from left to right, got some PETG 3D printed tube clamps. They're going to hold the tubes in the main welding jig, but I've got this, it's just going to be one of the clamps that holds the location pins. And in the middle here we've got some really fresh, really nice aluminium base plates, looking really nice. So these are going to basically have all the clamps, all the mounts that hold all of the tubes and fittings in the correct place, so that I can tack and weld as much as possible before finishing up outside of the jigs. And finally on the right I've got some other 3D printed nylon MJF. I had a voucher, so I managed to get these done. So these ones of the seat stay jig. So that's this one right here. Hopefully everything will fit in place. I've got a couple of upstands here and here. These are going to be frame upstands, so they're going to hold the tubes in place. It's definitely hard. Of course, it's all upside down. Bollocks. Hold on. Bear with. Flipping. Just remembered the counter bores are for the bolts that are going to come up through the fixture, so upside down. Great. Cool. Everything should be pretty much packaged. Just something like that. Supports here and here. Front end of the seat stay, rear end of the seat stay where the axle will be. Let's see what the tortoise thinks. There you go, mate. Have a look. Looking a bit dirty. I think he likes it. Perfect. It might seem like there's been a fair bit of progress made. Episode 1 and now this one, episode 2, as shown, is basically kind of recapping a bit about the old bike and then where I'm at now with Mark 2. From this point onwards, episode 3, 4ish, you'll start to see stuff, new stuff that actually is happening in real time. It might slow down a bit, so don't be deterred. On that note, I'll see you next time.